he does join us almost every Tuesday at 4. And then he said, with regard to my job, you guys have to wait because I got to go on with Nick and John. I'm imagining this is how it went.
Yeah.
He was like, they wanted him in a meeting, and he said, but wait.
In my head, I'm like, screw you, NBC.
Yeah, that's
but John's a good company man, so he wouldn't do that.
He is, but he thought it.
I don't even know that he'd think it.
I'm pretty sure he might have thought about thinking
when
it.
When those NBC checks cash every 2 weeks or so, he's probably just, you can do whatever you want to me, NBC.
That's true. And by the way, to get that kind of treatment,
you
gotta pay.
You know what I'm saying.
You gotta pay.
Hello, doctor.
The anything on the menu is on the menu. Woo, doggy. John Fanta, NBC Sports, joins us on the Fan Hotline. Which part of what we just said is accurate, John?
Good Lord. We go from unicorns to innuendos to all kinds of things on this program, and that's why I enjoy joining you guys. Part of it is, I'm talking to you guys from the NBA broadcast seminar. So all the different broadcasters of the NBA come together before media days, before the season starts, for one big family reunion. So yes, the Cavaliers TV and radio people are here. So it's been good to see them and talk with them. And we're gearing up. I'm excited for the return of the NBA on NBC, which means Round Ball Rock will be back.
All right. I don't know how to ask this, and I know this is probably not okay to ask this. Was MJ there?
Oh, God. No.
Oh,
good question, though.
Yeah, I feel like
good question.
Because when Fanta goes on MJ, he's going to, that's when he just goes worldwide.
Oh, boy. Look, I'm just happy to be on the afternoon drive.
That's, you know what?
There's your Stefanski response.
From afternoon drive to MJ. Everybody knows that. All right, let's start with, I guess we'll start with the Baker stuff because we led the show with it. The question we threw out to everybody is, what can the Browns learn from the Baker fiasco? How would you answer that question?
Well, this current regime won't learn much about it because they're not going to have jobs a year from now. That's just the fact of the matter. I mean, in terms of lessons, look, there's going to be change, and it's unfortunate, but that's the reality of the situation. In terms of what the Browns can learn from it, I think that you can learn that there's three sides to each story, guys. There's one person's account, the other's account, and in between that, the truth. And to me, Baker Mayfield was not the quarterback in Cleveland and the person in Cleveland that he now is in Tampa Bay. Now, the Browns are obviously at fault for not fully seeing his capabilities, potential, the ability to be a top 10 quarterback in the league, and they contributed to that breakup. I think when it happened, a lot of people just either they blamed Baker or they blamed it all on the Browns. I think both sides are at fault. I think it's an indictment on the Browns that he's doing what he's doing now to a degree. But I didn't fault the Browns. Okay, this is the thing. I didn't fault the Browns for trying to go for a championship. Here's what I will say. Baker Mayfield is a really good NFL quarterback. But Baker Mayfield, to me, is not going to be in a conference championship game. And he's not a Super Bowl quarterback. Now, he's got an offense that can reach the playoffs, and that's going to continue to do so. But this is not Tampa. Tampa has been a strong start, not good finish team. So I want to see him actually break through in January before I proclaim anything more than, look, the Browns have been the losers in this since Baker. Obviously, Baker's been a winner in all of this. The Browns, Jimmy Haslam, the people that are going to still be around should learn that if you've got that type of talent, you have got to do the very most that you can to be attentive to detail and find out what you have. I didn't blame the Browns for going after Deshaun Watson and trying to go for a Super Bowl because I felt that they were doing that when they made that move. It obviously blew up in their face.
John, in the beginning portion of this, we've had arguments. We've gone back and forth about your defense of Stefanski. And you might still believe in Stefanski. I'm not suggesting otherwise. But to say he's out of a job at the end of this season, what has changed for you in the past two games?
Well, what's changed for me is, first off, I thought that they would win week one and that would that would give them a reason to maybe say, hey, we've got something cooking here, and maybe we can do enough to keep him. I mean, I called that a must-win for a reason, guys, and I think we would all agree you'd feel differently still about 1-1. You would. That messed with the psyche, messed with the morale. Guys, I think it's that when you're 3-16 in your last 19 games, and when in this stretch you've averaged a touchdown below the rest of the league, and you're averaging around 16, 17 points per game, I'm not naive. I don't think that Kevin is the main reason why things have gone to garbage here. I don't. I think he is a major proponent. I wouldn't say he's the biggest proponent of it, but he's the head coach. He is what his record says, and I get that. And I'm not seeing this offense evolve, and I don't think that the roster is talented enough. I think the Browns have a bottom 3 wide receiver running back combo room in the National Football League, so I don't think that the personnel is helping Kevin. But as a coach, you have to overcome that. And clearly the scheme is stale. The Browns are very predictable. This offense is as bad as any in the league. And with all that in place, considering the fact that this isn't year 1 or 2, he's been at this now for over half a decade, the writing's on the wall, and this needs change. So I'm not going to ignore what the record is, even though I don't think that Stefanski is some god-awful coach. I just think that things have run their course, and it's going to be time for a new voice in Cleveland, for a new regime, and potential 2 top 10 draft picks, if not top 6 or 7.
John, are you on benching watch this week for Joe Flacco against Green Bay?
I am not. I am not on benching watch. I mean, I think that this is going to change after week 4. I think that the Browns are going to consider it then. I guess I'm on bench watch if he's that awful to start. Guys, I thought he got frustrated on Sunday, and he made a throw that when he threw that interception, that was when the domino effect began. That was when, okay, the gloves are off, and he spiraled out of control. Do I think that Dylan Gabriel was going to fare that much better than Joe Flacco on Sunday? The answer is no, but if it was any better, why not? The point is, the Browns have nothing to lose now. They don't. I wish we saw Gabriel this week. I do, because at this point, to me, the season's gone, and your sole goal should be to find out if you have anything in him. So if he's that awful, then yes, I'm on the watch. Here's my take. My take is I don't think Flacco will be nearly as bad at home, even though it's against, I think it's even better opponent, if not on the same level in Green Bay. I think that the Browns will be able to have a little bit more movement, a little bit more rhythm than they had against the Ravens on the road in Baltimore, against an angry Baltimore defense that choked away a game. I think circumstances and timing play into everything. The Browns were never going to win that game on Tuesday. They wouldn't have won that game with a top 15, or on Sunday. They wouldn't have won that game with a top 10 quarterback, because they're not talented enough around that top 10 quarterback. So I'm on the watch. I'm not on high watch, though, because I don't think Stefanski's ready to make the change this week. Like that, if it were you or I coaching the team, I'd be on the watch, but I just don't believe it. I'm not going to believe it until I see it, unless Flacco takes a hit and gets hurt.
Do you have any concern about Jerry Jeudy?
Yeah, I have major concern. I mean, he's been... if we were to assess a grade to this point, it would be an F. He's dropping passes. He's not playing the role of a number 1 receiver. I mean, he's been anything but that. And, I will say, when they threw his way once down the sidelines, one-on-one coverage, he made the catch, and I was thinking, yeah, more of that, please. But, guys, how is Jerry Jeudy at the level we thought he could be at, and he can't get open? How? At some point, players got to play. Or the Browns just bad at Stefanski at certain points in his tenure. No matter how much you hated him, one thing you could always say is he schemes to get people open. Jerry Jeudy should be good enough to get open. David Njoku should still be good enough to get open. And that's part of the reason why I'm trending towards out on Kevin too, because it's The roster is obviously weak, but it's not hard to get somebody open. Like, we're talking about 4, 5, 6, 7 plays in a row where this offense cannot get people open. Now, would it help to have a running game? Of course. The running game has been a disaster. A disaster. And I don't even blame Quinshon Judkins. I don't. I actually think Judkins has a bright future. Hopefully it's in Cleveland. But the inability to scheme to get people open, for heaven's sake, that is a massive problem. Like, if the quarterback's missing on throws, Flacco obviously had a putrid day. But when you're looking at the replays, Ross Tucker said it. He's like, there's nobody open down the field. Dylan Gabriel's not going to find a rabbit in a hat. Hell, Baker Mayfield isn't going to do that. So it's like, I get that's probably the thing that stands out to me the most is like, how in week 2 could they just not find anyone get open? And Jeudy's the prime result of that, because even when he is open, he hasn't caught the ball. So I'm past concern. I feel defeated on that end because they need him to play a role like Amari Cooper. That's what they need, and he's not doing that.
John Fanta on the Fan Hotline here with Nick and JP. So we've got Green Bay coming up for the Browns on Sunday. We've got the Guardians against the Tigers in the next 3 games. What do you consider more likely this week? A Green Bay win for the Browns on Sunday, or the Guardians sweep the Tigers?
Well, Tarek Skubal is pitching one of the games.
He's pitching Thursday, but he's been dealing with his sore side.
Some are saying he's washed.
He has been dealing with a sore side. Yeah,
no one's saying he's washed.
Some are.
Are you the some?
Who the hell is saying? Yeah, who is that?
I can't recall.
I always liked when my grandma would say, they're saying it's going to be a bad winter. Who's they?
Yeah,
you're like,
but they are. John, that you can't ignore. They are saying it.
Yeah. He's like, they're saying that restaurant's not very good. Well, have you had it? No. Okay, well, then who's they? Well, I just went by it, and I didn't like the exterior. Well, Grandma Joni, give it a shot, for heaven's sake.
Why are you interrogating Grandma Joni? I would just about have my Grandma Joni just be.
Because we've all had that parent or grandparent who says they say, they. I always would laugh. I'm like, who are you talking to? That is they. I would vote the Guardians because they're 9-1 in their last 10 games. They've won. They have literally won the games that they're playing in. So they're playing great baseball. You know what? I got to tip my cap, and Jonathan Peterlin will like this. I am going to tip my cap to Stephen Vogt.
I do like this.
Because this thing could have been in the dumpster. And honestly, Cleveland, the Guardians could have been in the toilet a long time ago. And I think some of you have stopped following them. And if you have, I'm not going to tell you like what you're supposed to do in your sports fandom, but like, I don't know. I will say this is 92.3 the Fan, and you guys are the voice of the fan in Cleveland. Like, I know that everybody wants a World Series. Okay, and maybe this is the Baker argument a little bit, if you'll allow me for just a second. I know we'll probably have to go soon, but would you rather be consistently competitive as a contending team, and knowing if you get to October and have a shot because everybody does in October, or would you rather be, a team that once had their moment of glory, and then that's traded for like 20 years of absolute irrelevance and terrible baseball or terrible football? Obviously, the Browns have neither of those. But my point is, like, it does seem like people just say that there's a sector. Now, I'm saying they're saying people out there that just say, well, it's the Dodgers and it's the Yankees, and then it's nobody else. And it's like, that's not even remotely true. Look at what the Mets spent, and they're barely in the playoffs right now. So I think, would it be a shame if the Guardians don't make the playoffs? Is it still unlikely that they make them? Yes, the odds say that. But, hey, they're playing meaningful baseball in September again. I'm going to take that over the alternative, which is the game means nothing. So I'm going to say that they sweep the Tigers. The chances are better there over the Browns and the Packers, because not to mention the Guardians have a psychological edge against the Tigers, in my humble opinion. They have that playoff series win. And Jason Benetti, the voice of the Tigers, and other people that cover the Tigers have told me, for whatever reason, we get stiff when we play Cleveland.
John, you can't put it on a tee like that for Nick.
I don't know what anybody's talking about. I was very curious to hear what else Jason Benetti said.
In adding on to the Let's Give Steven Vogt His Flowers campaign, Johnny got laughed at. He got mocked at for going for a 6-man rotation. Baseball people are like, oh, what's he doing? What an idiot. They went 12-5 in that stretch, John.
JP was one of the people saying that.
12-5 in that stretch during the 6-man rotation. Seems like he might have had a clue there, John.
Well, you know what? He had a clue, but that's certainly a nice point. But you know what? It's almost like playing Carlos Santana was meaningless. You know, he had a nice time in Cleveland, but it wasn't meaningful. You got to get the kids at bats. If you look at some of the guys that have come up the biggest, I mean, C.J. Kavis has come up huge for this team with some big time at bats. Bo Naylor did the other day. Manzardo has too. It's been fun to watch, and it just goes to show you guys, like, we could be the Rockies, we could be the White Sox, we could be the Pirates, and year in and year out, this team isn't even remotely close to that. They're a competitive, respectable team, and I think if you ask people around baseball that are not in Cleveland and that are not knee-deep in just the franchise, the people in baseball, you've had them on your show, would say the Guardians are still like a consistently top 10 run organization in baseball. They are, and they get it, and they made mistakes last offseason. They really did. I hope they don't whiff again, and I hope that this run doesn't give them an excuse to not be active in the offseason. That would be my one thing that I'd bring up. But overall, this has been a heck of a surge, and Vogt, through his first 2 seasons, not even the next couple of weeks withstanding, he's done a heck of a job replacing the best manager in Cleveland history, Terry Francona.
John, they are saying that they're telling people that they've never heard a better call from John Fanta. Even in some of your great college basketball, they are saying this was the best.
It's actually just Grandma Joni. She just texted us.
Yeah.
She made the best chocolate chip cookies, and the subject matter of me, which is not on screen, would be an indicator of that.
And I want chocolate chip cookies. John, be great, buddy.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, fellas. Always appreciate you.